Hi, my name is Chris. I was friends with Hobbs also fairly recently. I met Hobbs when I first moved to Portland trying to escape Montana, and my friend Nikolai lived here at the time, which is the whole reason I chose Portland. But while I was in Montana, Nick would tell me stories about Reed College and about the people that he had met, some of which are in this room. But he told the most stories about Roger Hobbs. Before he was successful with Ghostman, and afterward. And the entire time, Hobbs became kind of this illusion. I wasn't actually sure he existed until after Ghostman came out, and I was able to Google him to make sure he existed, because some of the stories Nick told me were just over the top. And we've heard a couple of themes from people from the Roger Hobbs experience. Unifying people was one of the things he did better than almost anybody I've met, and that's the first sentiment that I'd like to express here. So the first time I moved out to Portland, it didn't quite work out. I couldn't really get my feet under me, so I had to move back to Montana for a while. My home situation wasn't very good at all, and I didn't know Hobbs very well at that point, but I was talking to him on Facebook occasionally, and he suggested that I come live with him in Seattle while I got things situated, and he said that was a perfectly acceptable thing. So I grabbed $300 out of my bank, shoved as much shit in my car as I could, and I drove out to Seattle. That didn't work out for stupid reasons, and I ended up in Portland. But the whole reason I'm here is because Hobbs gave me that chance. He gave me that out. He wanted something better for me because he understood that I was dealing with very difficult things and that they were kind of stacked. And he leveled that playing field a lot. And when I actually came down here, it was also because of him that I met all of the people that I care about in my life now. All of my friends, all of them, I met because of Nikolai Smirno and Roger Hobbs. He was kind of the centerpiece for all of that. The other piece that people have talked about is Roger's ability to make you feel special, make you feel like the main character. That was a great way of saying it earlier, is making you feel like the star of your own show. And Rosemary touched on another thing where she was talking about how he would come up with ways, even if it was just helping you create a D&D character that would allow you to better yourself, he would always find a way to help you become a better person or feel not as bad at life. But the story I want to share is another part of Hobbs, and that was his ability, again, on seeing through layers in story and coming up with stories, and not only coming up with them because he had a fantastic gift of bullshit. I still to this day don't know how much knowledge Roger Hobbs actually had about Rome and how much he made up. But I have had that question. I've Googled the things he's told me, and usually there are details off, but I'm just convinced that he's that good at storytelling. He didn't actually know what he was talking about. He just made it up and it turned out to be true. But besides that, his ability to see through story as well. I remember he invited me to Las Vegas as well. I'd never been before. I've heard stories about their Vegas trips, and Hobbs knew I really wanted to go, but I was a courtesy clerk at Safeway, and I really couldn't afford it. And one day he sent me an email under a pseudonym, so I didn't know who it was at first, but it contained a ticket to Las Vegas, and then he texted me, and he was like, "Hey, did you get the email?" With instructions on what I should wear, where I should meet him, ideas for various different fragrances I might use, etc. And so the trip to Las Vegas was an amazing experience. We did all sorts of things. We watched Ice Cube perform live at, was it Surrender or Excess? I don't remember. I think... Yeah, you were at the SWA, I believe. But anyway, we did a ton of things I've never done before. We drove a Camaro through the Mojave Desert around Lake Mead, and that was a fantastic memory of mine. The whole while Roger was playing ridiculous classic rock music while we were going way, way, way too fast. But we went to that night we went to a show that he had told me about, Le Rêve, which is a show they put on at the Wynn Encore, and it was beautiful. It incorporated all the senses: sight, smell, sound, even feel. You could feel the fire, you could feel the water. It was amazing, and it was beautiful, and there were parts where I was starting to choke up, and everything was fine. We went back to our hotel room afterwards to reflect on the show, and I looked over and Hobbs is just crying, and not sobbing, just crying, and we asked what was wrong, Nick and I, because we were concerned, and he just started detailing all of the layers underneath Le Rêve and what made it beautiful, and how the last time he had seen the show, it ended differently. It ended with the two lovers being together instead of, being separate. And now it was separate because Steve Wynn was separating from some lady that I'd never heard of, and he knew all the details. But the reason the ending of the show had played is because Steve Wynn's dream was no longer a reality, and it got so deep, and I remember just crying with him because it was just so powerful, and the way that he narrated the story, it was like I was back there, only now it was worse. But he saw the story in everyone. He saw the story in everything.